Welcome back. This is Sammy at Paint Fork Farm. We forgot to do our video last week of our farm progress, so this is a week late, but wanted to show you what we've been up to. We bumped up all of our dahlias. So we have tons and tons growing up. Our rack is full on here. I'll head outside and show you some other ones. We had one tray that we had made the blocks for and didn't have the plants for, so we just went ahead and direct seeded some in there. So we have some germination on them, some growing up, so we'll see how those go. See you out front. So the dahlias, Sam's over setting up the water, and we're gonna do some direct seeding today, but these are all looking really good. All in all, we have about just over 800 growing up, so hopefully in a couple weeks they'll be ready to go in the ground. And these are all the ones, these are the hybrid dahlias, Showtime, and Pom Pon dahlias. So we're starting all of these from seed, and then hopefully our plan is to harvest the tubers for the next growing season. So looking really good. And this was the same type of thing, we just had a couple extra in here, so we just went ahead and threw some seeds in. Doing good. So those just germinated. But yeah, everything's looking really nice. So see you on the other side. We're over on the farm side now. So Sam's doing camera work. We will show kind of what we did. So these 3 beds here, we direct seeded some zinnias using the seed tape we had made. These first 2 beds of zinnias were a little bit wider, and I wasn't paying as close of attention as I should have. So instead of I made 4 furrows, and then I realized that I should have spaced them out more. So we just decided, since we had enough space to do 5 furrows in those 2, we did 5 furrows in both of these beds. We didn't have enough seed tape for those extra 2 rows since we hadn't planned for those, but we did have a lot of zinnias that we were transplanting. So we figured we'd go ahead and do a trial on that and transplant some out. And if I remember correctly, it's the first 2 rows we're transplanting. Is that right?
Over on the first 2 on the right side.
Oh, first 2 over here. Okay.
Yeah.
So these guys are doing all right. The ones we transplanted, you can see that they've survived and everything. So they were really small. They didn't even have their first set of true leaves. We were just we were doing a trial to see how they germinated in the soil blocks, which is why we had these. So what we figured, we'd go ahead and throw them out, or plant them out rather, instead of throwing them out. So they did good. You know, I didn't expect them to really survive at all, but they did. You can see down the line, like some of these taller ones. We're a week late on this video. We should have shot it last week, but we didn't. So you can kind of see what's happening here. The good thing is on the zinnias, if you want to come in here, like here's one, because we also sow down our clover cover crop, but here's one, here's another one, here's one right here. So we're getting really good germination off of the seed tape, and that's throughout all of these beds. Some of them over there are actually very tall. So we've definitely said next year and from here on, then we'll just be doing zinnias in this method because it's the easiest and works the best. So we're also really lucky, and after we did all of the work last week, it's been raining pretty much every day since, so we haven't had to water, and it's been keeping the ground really nice. You can see it's still damp, and in some spots in the plow lines, and there's still like a little bit of standing water. So that was awesome. These next 2 beds were the calendula seed tape, so we direct seeded those out. Again, using the seed tape, same as the zinnias and all the direct seeding we've been doing this year. This one, this is our first year growing calendula, so we're not quite sure what it is. Hold on, let me go to the other side, or what it looks like, but I'm thinking, because of the spacing and stuff, like these 2 right here, because we did 2 seeds on the seed tape just in case there wasn't germination. So it looks like it's germinated. We can't quite beat, we can't, you know, not 100%, but these two, these are definitely two. So it looks like we have some good germination and growth happening over here. Looks like there's another one over there. So again, that's going well, and we'll keep our eyes on that. And if this goes good, then we'll definitely, again, if we grow calendula again, depending on how it goes this season, then we'll be doing the seed tape for that as well. So now we're gonna keep going on. At the end, then there's some other work we did last week, but I'm gonna go ahead and do an update on some of the beds that we have going on, because I don't think we've done any updates on them recently. So this bed and this bed were the Nigella. This is our first year growing it, so I don't exactly know what I'm looking for. I don't think that we're getting stuff off of it. We'll see. I think it was just this year got too hot too fast. So I don't think that the seeds germinated. The good news is the cover crop is going very well. The bad news is that there's a lot of grass in them. I don't really know what's happening there. I mean, I'm sure that there's weeds and everything and still seeds and stuff in the ground from tilling, and even with like the beds and stuff being covered. I didn't think that it would look like this. I thought us killing everything off was really gonna prevent this from happening, and it would just really be clover. So I don't know. I don't know. It's all these ones. So the clover's definitely going well, but there's you can see there's a lot of grass seed, or a lot of grass coming up in all of these. So I don't really know about that, but that's what it is. So over here we have the things that we transplanted out on our work day. So these two beds are the straw flower. Not a ton survived, but what did survive are going very well. Very strong plants. So all of these, you know, big ones, and there's some smaller ones in here too. Like this is one of the smaller ones. Like there's a short one like right over here. You can't really see with the grass and the clover and everything. But you know, still a good bit. Again, I think if we did, we have the tendency to be doing our transplanting at the worst time of the day when it's very hot and stuff, just because that's just how our schedule seems to work. So we're trying to get better at that, really shooting for early morning or late afternoon into the evening to transplant out from now on. So maybe that would have helped, maybe not, we'll see. But again, what survived is going great. So I definitely think straw flower so far will be one of the things that we continue to grow, or at least like you know, a couple of years after we're done with our trials or something like that. We'll see. The next two beds are the Scabiosa. Again, same thing as the straw flower. It was transplanted at the same time. The ones that made it are doing really good. They're not quite as tall as the straw flower, but it's but these guys here, so they're a little shorter, but they're doing really well too. Again, I'm not sure how well the straw flower will definitely get a nice harvest off of. Scabiosa, I'm not sure. It's earlier on in the season, so we'll kind of just have to see how the weather goes, and maybe it won't. We might not get a great harvest off of it just because it got so hot. But who knows? We've never grown this one before either, so we don't really know. We're just trials all over the place. Both of these, we did all the transplants out, and then we did seed tape for the space in the bed that didn't have, you know, transplants in it. I haven't really been able to see too much coming off of those seed tape things, except on the Scabiosa. This here, you can see that these are two really close together, so that's seed tape instead of transplants. It was the workday thing, so I can't remember exactly like where the seed tape started or anything like that, so I'm not quite sure. But this one at least I know is because we wouldn't have planted okay, never mind, ignore that, that's just one plant. It just looks like two. So who knows, we'll see. You can also see here something big has come and walked across our bed. We got some really big holes and stuff in here. Don't really know what that is. I'm assuming it's probably a deer, but I can't really tell. It's kind of like, the tracks are kind of weird. It could be one of the big dogs that are kind of around in the neighborhood too, so who knows. So those are the Scabiosa. Again, all of that was like the workday stuff. This is what we did last week. So these were the final transplants. If you remember, these 5 beds we had planted with dianthus and phlox, and the seedlings that we put in last week were really just to, we had them as backup. So whatever in the field, if it had died, or if the seed tape hadn't germinated, or if we had missed spots or anything, they were just really there to come back and fill those gaps. But if you remember, we wound up scrapping all 5 of those beds because the flooding just took everything out that we had planted in there and destroyed it all. So we reset them. Last week we tilled again and did the furrows and went through and transplanted just everything, all of the transplants that we had left over, you know, all of those backups. We just went ahead and transplanted them out. So there's a couple beds that are kind of not 100% of anything. So down here we did, this bed is all phlox. It wound up being that we had about 100 of those, so we went ahead and put them in. You can see some of them, I don't know if you exactly can, but you can see some of them are already flowering out. Because we let them sit too long. You're not even really supposed to transplant phlox. They say that direct seeding is recommended. So we really, again, we had them. I didn't want to just toss them. We had the bed space, so figured just go ahead and go for it. So this is all phlox. We'll see what happens with it and how it rolls out and all of that kind of stuff. This bed is all dianthus. It's going really good, actually. Definitely a lot of growth. They're getting really tall. This week of rain really helped, and they look like they're thriving. So flower wise, we should still be able to get some gets off of it, but we'll see. First year we did a really crappy trial with dianthus last year, so this is our first real go at it, so we'll see how that all works. This next bed, there's a couple rows of dianthus, and then the rest of this is more of the zinnias that we transplanted out. These are doing all right. They're not as good as the ones up there, but they're still doing real nice. Some of them are growing really fast. Again, I thought that they were just gonna die out, and the rain was gonna be too much for them because they were so small, but they look like they're doing okay. So we might have an extra bed of zinnias this year. Figured, again, we had the starts. I didn't want to just throw them out. So that is all. And then we'll just walk back here real quick to continue kind of the update. This is the last bed of the 5 that we reset. We're gonna do some personal vegetables in there. Actually, hopefully, we're fingers crossed that we are going to go buy some starts and plant those out tomorrow. So, because it is getting a little late for some stuff, but just some fun things. We have an extra bed, so might as well. This is the yarrow. This is the first year that we've gotten like really nice flowers and stuff off of it. It's looking really great. We probably should have netted these, maybe, but they're doing all right for just being on their own. Again, the rain, some of the edges kind of shoved them down. And over here, which I thought that this was all just the rain, but Sam said that it was definitely like right here where this big patch is all floppy. It was a deer that came and was like laying in that. So kind of stinks because, you know, it knocked over some of our yarrow, but we don't have any fences or anything, and I also kind of like having the deer around because they're pretty, so whatever. You know, we're trying to coexist with nature on a lot of this stuff. But yeah, looking great. We will definitely be planting more yarrow out. This is an awesome perennial. In our zone, we're 7B. You don't have to cover it during winter or do anything. It just, it's awesome. So definitely keeping these going, and we'll continue to add into the yarrow because it's gorgeous and it looks really pretty. We're not going to walk back there, but you can just kind of pan over to the snapdragon trials from the overwintering. Those, definitely a lot of them got knocked over in the hard rain that we had this past week. but they're still blooming. They bounced back after I went through and pretty much just cut all of the blooms, and took them around to, you know, like into work and my bank ladies and stuff like that. So they were too mature to sell, but they were gorgeous, and I didn't need like what, 6 mason jars full of snapdragons in the house, so we kind of shared them around a bit. But they bounce back pretty fast over there. There's some where you can definitely see where I cut them that are already bushing out, so we might even be able to have some to sell later on. We'll have to decide if it's worth it to net all of those beds, because that's a lot of netting for not a whole lot of filled beds, so we'll kind of have to see about that. Maybe we'll just keep giving out snapdragons this year. So that's it. We have some stuff to do today, which we'll do a video on later. So boom, that's it.